Dr. Sarah Chen stood before the holographic display in her lab aboard the Ganymede Research Station, watching as another one of her proposals was rejected by the Confederation Science Council. The message was polite but firm. Current research directions deemed unnecessary for species of your development level. She laughed bitterly, glancing at the quantum transmission array that she and her team had developed, technology that the Confederation had quietly integrated into their networks while publicly dismissing humanity's scientific capabilities. The same story played out across human space. Innovations adopted, creators ignored. The lab's communication panel chimed. "Dr. Chen, the council meeting is beginning. They're requesting your presence." Sarah straightened her uniform and touched the transmitter on her collar. In an instant, her hologram materialized in the grand chamber of the Galactic Confederation on Centauri Prime. The chamber was a marvel of engineering, with crystalline spires reaching toward a dome that showed real-time views of local space. Representatives from over 300 species filled the tiered seating, their various environmental bubbles creating a shimmer of atmospheric distortions throughout the room. High Chancellor Vex Thor, an ancient being of pure energy contained within a sophisticated matrix, addressed the assembly. "We gather today to address humanity's latest petition for increased research autonomy." The words carried carefully measured disdain. Sarah noticed Ambassador Marcus Reynolds sitting quietly in the human section, a slight smile on his face. She had been surprised when the usually diplomatic ambassador had requested her presence today. Now she understood. This wasn't about her rejected proposal at all. Marcus stood, his simple blue uniform a stark contrast to the ornate garments and biosuits around him. "Honorable Chancellor, members of the Confederation, we are not here to petition." He paused, letting the words settle. "We are here to inform you of humanity's immediate withdrawal from the Galactic Confederation." The chamber erupted in a cacophony of translated protests and exclamations. Sarah watched as Marcus calmly waited for order to be restored, remembering similar scenes from Earth's history. Colonial powers shocked when their subjects dared to stand alone. "This is outrageous," thundered Representative Catal of the Mercian Dominion. "Humanity exists in its current form only because of Confederation guidance and protection." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "Does it? Let's examine that claim." He gestured, and Sarah understood why she had been called. She activated her datapad, and the chamber's holographic systems displayed a series of statistics. Humanity has contributed over 40,000 technological patents to Confederation databases in the past century alone. Our medical research has improved life expectancy for 12 species. Our engineers maintain 60% of the quantum communication network. Sarah's voice was clear and steady, all while being denied seats on the very councils that govern these technologies. The Mercian representative's fur bristled. "You were not ready for such responsibility. Your species is too unpredictable." "Unpredictable." Marcus smiled. "Like when we solved the Arcturus plague while your approved research teams argued about protocols, or when human engineers prevented the collapse of the Vega corridor by implementing solutions your experts had deemed impossible." High Chancellor Vex Thor's energy form pulsed with concern. "Ambassador Reynolds, if this is a negotiating tactic." "It is not, Chancellor. As of this moment, all human personnel are being recalled from Confederation projects. Our colonies are withdrawing from Confederation space. We have already established our own independent networks and infrastructure." The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The Confederation had always assumed humanity's integration into their systems was about giving humans access to advanced technology. They had never considered that they had become dependent on human innovation and maintenance. Sarah watched as realization dawned on various representatives' faces. The Confederation's dismissal of humanity as a young species had led them to overlook just how deeply human ingenuity had woven itself into the fabric of galactic civilization. "You cannot simply leave," declared Chancellor Vex Thor. "There are protocols, treaties, obligations, all of which include provisions for withdrawal." Marcus interrupted. "We have transmitted the complete documentation to your legal councils, but more importantly, we already have. The chamber's displays suddenly flickered, and Sarah suppressed a smile. Right on schedule, human technicians across Confederation space were initiating their synchronized departure protocols. Not sabotage, humanity would never stoop so low, but the careful extraction of human-designed systems and failsafes. Within one standard month, all human citizens and technology will be withdrawn from Confederation space, Marcus continued. We are establishing the Terra Alliance, open to any species interested in genuine collaboration rather than hierarchical control. As protests and demands filled the chamber, Sarah noticed something interesting. The representatives of several smaller, newer spacefaring races were sitting quietly, watching with careful attention. They had also lived under the Confederation's guidance, and humanity was showing them an alternative was possible. Marcus and Sarah's holograms faded from the chamber as the session devolved into chaos. Back in her lab, Sarah looked at her team, humans and a few alien scientists who had chosen to work with them, despite Confederation disapproval. Well, she said, I believe we finally have full research autonomy. The lab erupted in cheers. As celebration broke out around her, Sarah thought about the message this would send across the galaxy. Humanity would not be kept down by those who feared their potential. The next few months would be challenging, but humanity had faced worse odds before. They had learned, adapted, and emerged stronger. Now they would show the galaxy what humanity could truly achieve when unchained from artificial constraints. In the depths of space, human ships were already moving, carrying the seeds of a new kind of galactic civilization. One built on cooperation rather than control, innovation rather than inhibition, and the simple truth that every species deserved the chance to reach for the stars on their own terms. The Arcturus Central Transport Hub had never been silent in its 300 years of operation. Until today, Station Director Zlickstall stared through his environment suit visor at the empty main concourse, designed to accommodate millions of travelers daily. Now, only emergency lighting illuminated the vast space. How long until systems are restored? He demanded, his translator struggling to convey his agitation to the maintenance crew. Chief Engineer Krull, a Vendican with crystalline appendages, interfaced with the station's diagnostics. Unknown. Director. The human maintenance teams departed 48 hours ago, following standard shift rotation. Their replacements simply never arrived. The director's outer membrane rippled with frustration. When the Confederation had dismissed humanity's withdrawal announcement as political theater, no one had anticipated this methodical dismantling of galactic infrastructure. Not through sabotage or violence, but through simple absence. Surely our own engineers can manage basic station operations, Zlickstall asked, knowing the answer before Krull's crystals dimmed in response. The humans integrated their systems so seamlessly we never noticed our dependence, Krull admitted. Their interfaces appear simple, but attempting to modify core functions triggers cascading security protocols we can't decipher. They built in ways we don't understand. A priority communication cut through their discussion. The station's holographic displays activated, showing High Chancellor Vexthor addressing the Confederation. The energy being's matrix pulsed with uncharacteristic urgency. The Confederation faces an unprecedented crisis, the Chancellor declared. In the 2 weeks since humanity began their withdrawal, we have documented over 10,000 critical system failures across Confederation space. The humans' departure has revealed uncomfortable truths about our reliance on their technological innovation and maintenance. Zlickstall watched as the Chancellor listed the growing problems. Quantum communication networks operating at reduced capacity, medical diagnostic systems failing, automated construction units shutting down. Not through malice, but through the simple fact that humanity had built and maintained these systems in ways that matched their unique way of thinking. In the station's medical bay, Dr. Ixel, a thoraxian healer, faced her own crisis. The advanced diagnostic equipment, a marvel of human bioengineering interfaced with Confederation technology, displayed errors she couldn't comprehend. The human medical staff had departed with their proprietary protocols, leaving behind equipment that functioned perfectly but couldn't be modified or repaired without their expertise. "Their chaos is their strength," she muttered, remembering an observation from a human colleague. While Confederation species sought perfect, unchanging solutions, humans constantly tinkered, improved, and adapted their technology. They built systems that could evolve, but only if you understood their fundamental approach to chaos and change. Across Confederation space, similar scenes played out. The Vega Defense Fleet discovered their targeting systems, enhanced by human programming, had reverted to basic functionality. The Meridian Archives found their data retrieval systems, optimized by human information specialists, running at fractional efficiency. On New Terra, one of the first colonies to declare independence with Earth, Ambassador Marcus Reynolds met with his staff in the newly established Terra Alliance headquarters. The building, like much of the colony, showcased human architectural innovation, adaptive structures that could reconfigure themselves for different species' needs. The Confederation's response? He asked his intelligence chief. "Exactly as predicted," replied Commander Sophia Patel, bringing up a holographic display of Confederation space. Red markers indicated system failures, spreading like a constellation of crisis points. They're discovering that removing humanity from the equation isn't as simple as they assumed. Marcus nodded, studying reports from human technical teams, now established in Terra Alliance space, and the approaches from independent worlds. Increasing daily. The Rathi consensus was first. They've always appreciated human ingenuity. The Kelvin republics followed. Even some younger Confederation members are making discreet inquiries. The Alliance's diplomatic center buzzed with activity as representatives from various species arrived, seeking dialogue with humanity on equal terms. Many were civilizations the Confederation had deemed too primitive for full membership, yet their unique perspectives and technologies offered fascinating possibilities for collaboration. Dr. Sarah Chen, now heading the Alliance's scientific exchange, entered the chamber. "The Rathi have shared their bioengineering insights," she reported. "Combined with our quantum mechanics, we're seeing possibilities the Confederation never imagined. Turns out cooperation beats condescension. Any word from your former colleagues in Confederation space?" Marcus asked. Sarah's expression softened. "Many want to join us, especially after seeing how we operate. The Confederation structure never allowed for true scientific collaboration. Too many restrictions, too many artificial hierarchies." A sudden alert drew their attention. A Confederation diplomatic vessel had appeared at the edge of Alliance space, requesting emergency docking clearance. Its engines were failing. Human-designed engines. "They're coming to realize," Marcus observed, "that true civilization isn't about who has the oldest technology or the most rigid protocols. It's about innovation, adaptation, and most importantly, cooperation." As the Confederation vessel was guided safely to dock, Marcus reflected on humanity's journey. They had entered galactic society as students, became unwitting architects of its infrastructure, and now emerged as pioneers of a new approach to interstellar civilization. The silent exodus had spoken volumes. Humanity hadn't needed to fire a shot or make a threat. They had simply walked away, leaving the Confederation to confront the true cost of their arrogance. Now, as more species saw alliance with Earth, a new chapter in galactic history was beginning, one written not in the language of dominance, but in the syntax of collaboration. The crystalline spires of New Terra's Alliance chamber caught the light of twin suns, casting prismatic shadows across the gathering of species below. Unlike the rigid hierarchical arrangement of Confederation meetings, representatives sat in flowing circles, promoting direct dialogue between all members. Admiral Elena Santos stood at the chamber's center, her weathered face displaying the calm confidence that had helped guide humanity's transition from Confederation member to independent power. Before her, delegates from 27 spacefaring civilizations waited expectantly. "The Terra Alliance isn't built on promises of technological salvation," Elena began, her words translated simultaneously in dozens of languages. We offer something different, partnership in its truest sense. The holographic display behind her activated, showing a spiral arm of the galaxy. In our first month of independence, we've established joint research initiatives with the Rathi, trading their bioengineering insights for our quantum mechanics. The Kelvin Republic's unique approach to artificial intelligence has already improved our navigation systems. This is what happens when we share knowledge freely, without artificial restrictions. A Rathi representative, their crystalline forms shimmering with bioluminescent patterns, raised an appendage. The Confederation claims humans are destabilizing galactic order. That your methods are dangerous. Elena smiled. Is it dangerous to suggest that a species with only a century of spaceflight might have valuable insights? That age doesn't automatically equal wisdom. She gestured to a young Kelvin scientist. Please, share your experience. The Kelvin, their scaled skin shifting colors with emotion, stepped forward. Under Confederation rules, my people's AI research was deemed too experimental. The Alliance not only welcomed our ideas, but helped us refine them. Together, we've achieved in weeks what might have taken decades under Confederation oversight. In orbit above New Terra, the fruits of this cooperation were taking shape. The station Unity grew like a living thing, incorporating architectural elements from a dozen species. Human engineers worked alongside Rathi biologists, merging organic and mechanical systems in ways the Confederation had always forbidden. Dr. Sarah Chen led a tour through Unity's laboratories, where scientists from various Alliance species collaborated freely. Notice how each lab adapts to its occupants, she explained to visiting representatives. Rathi crystalline architecture, Kelvin atmospheric processors, human quantum interfaces, all working in harmony. The Confederation observation ship hung at the edge of Alliance space, its sensors recording everything. Inside, senior observer Vexen struggled to categorize what they saw. The Confederation's methodical approach to technological development had no framework for this chaotic blend of innovations. Back in the Alliance chamber, Elena addressed the growing concerns about Confederation response. Yes, they're watching us. Yes, they're worried. But not because we're a threat, because we're proving there's another way. A series of alerts drew everyone's attention to the chamber's displays. Confederation border patrols had blocked trade routes to several independent worlds, citing security concerns. The implied message was clear: deal with the Alliance, face consequences. And now we face their true fear, Elena declared. Not that we'll attack them, but that we'll succeed without them. Ambassador Reynolds, please share the latest numbers. Marcus Reynolds stepped forward, his diplomatic uniform now bearing the Alliance insignia. A spiral galaxy with stars of equal brightness. Since our independence, 42 worlds have opened diplomatic relations with the Alliance. 15 have formally applied for membership. Most notably, 3 former Confederation protectorates have withdrawn to join us. The chamber hummed with translated discussions. A representative from one of the newer spacefaring races spoke up. The Confederation offered us protection, but demanded compliance. What does the Alliance offer? Opportunity, Elena answered simply. The chance to develop your own potential, your own way, with allies who value innovation over tradition. Look around this chamber. Every species here has something unique to contribute, perspectives the Confederation would have dismissed as primitive or unorthodox. Dr. Chen's voice added from a holographic projection from Unity Station. In the past week alone, we've made breakthroughs in quantum biology, thanks to combining Rathi organic computing with human quantum theory. The Kelvin's temporal mathematics have revolutionized our understanding of FTL travel. This is what happens when we stop pretending any one species has all the answers. The chamber's attention shifted as emergency signals came in from the border regions. The Confederation had begun moving warships near Alliance space, a show of force meant to intimidate potential defectors. Elena's expression remained calm. They still don't understand. They think military might can stop the spread of ideas. She turned to address the full chamber. The Alliance doesn't need to fight the Confederation. We simply need to show the galaxy that cooperation beats coercion, that innovation outpaces intimidation. As if to punctuate her words, Unity Station's quantum network activated, establishing instantaneous communication links with all Alliance worlds, a feat the Confederation had claimed was centuries beyond humanity's capability. This is just the beginning, Elena concluded. Every species here has been told what they can't do, what they're not ready for. The Alliance exists to ask a different question. What could we achieve together? The chamber erupted in approval, translation systems barely keeping up with the multilingual expressions of support. Outside, Unity Station's organic-mechanical hybrid systems continued to grow and adapt, a visible symbol of what diverse species could build when they chose cooperation over control. The Confederation observation ship recorded it all, its crew watching as their longtime assumptions about galactic civilization were challenged by this unprecedented experiment in interstellar cooperation. The galaxy was changing, and humanity had lit the spark. The Confederation warship, Eternal Authority, dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Proxima trading hub, its massive form casting a shadow over the merchant vessels below. Captain Selvax watched through compound eyes as his tactical display highlighted the human-designed systems still integrated throughout the hub's infrastructure. "Begin the blockade," he ordered. "No unauthorized vessels enter or leave." The Confederation Council had finally decided to act against the growing influence of the Terra Alliance. Their strategy: isolate and contain. But as Selvax would soon learn, humanity had long prepared for such predictable responses. Aboard Unity Station, Admiral Elena Santos received the reports with calculated calm. "How many trading hubs have they blocked?" she asked her staff. 7 major routes," Commander Patel replied, updating the tactical display. "They're trying to force independent worlds to choose between Alliance trade and Confederation access." Elena studied the distribution of blockade points. "And how are our merchant captains responding?" A smile crossed Patel's face. "Exactly as planned, Admiral. Operation Starbridge is already in effect." Across contested space, Alliance merchant ships began activating previously dormant quantum navigation systems. Routes the Confederation had deemed unstable or impossible suddenly became viable corridors, bypassing the blockade points entirely. Human ingenuity, combined with Kelvin temporal mathematics and Rathi organic computing, had mapped safe passages through what the Confederation considered unusable space. On the Confederation capital world, High Chancellor Vexthor faced mounting criticism from the Council. "These humans and their allies violate every established protocol of space travel," thundered Representative Catal. "They're mapping routes through quantum instabilities, establishing trade links that bypass our authority entirely." "Perhaps," suggested a younger council member, their voice carrying dangerous hints of admiration, "we should ask how they achieved this, rather than simply condemning it." The Chancellor's energy matrix flickered with concern. More and more frequently, such questions were being raised within the Confederation itself. The Alliance's successes were causing dangerous ripples of independent thinking. Back at the Proxima trading hub, Captain Selvax received increasingly frustrated reports from his blockade fleet. Merchant vessels seemed to vanish from sensors, only to reappear well beyond the blockade line. More disturbing were the conversations his crew intercepted between Confederation merchants and their Alliance counterparts. "Your ships navigate quantum space as if it were a calm sea," one Confederation captain marveled. "How is this possible?" "Because we stopped believing it was impossible," came the human reply. "The Alliance welcomes all who wish to learn new possibilities." In the Alliance chamber on New Terra, Dr. Sarah Chen presented the latest breakthrough to an eager audience. By combining Rathi organic technology with human quantum engineering and Kelvin temporal insights, we've developed something the Confederation insisted couldn't exist: truly safe quantum space navigation. She gestured to a holographic display showing the complex mathematics behind the achievement. But more importantly, we're sharing this technology with any world that wishes to join the Alliance as an equal partner. Knowledge flows freely here. The impact rippled through galactic society. Worlds that had accepted Confederation authority for centuries began questioning the rigid hierarchies that had defined their existence. The Alliance's success proved that cooperation between young and ancient species could yield innovations the Confederation had never imagined. On Unity Station, Alina met with her advisory council as reports of growing unrest throughout Confederation space arrived. "They still don't understand," she observed. "They think this is about technology or trade routes. It's about something far more powerful: hope." The station's quantum communications array hummed with constant activity as more worlds reached out to the Alliance, not just for trade or technology, but for the promise of genuine partnership in shaping the galaxy's future. Arathi scientists, their crystalline form pulsing with excitement, brought new data to Alina's attention. The quantum navigation network has revealed something extraordinary. The barriers the Confederation warned us about, the supposed limits of space travel, they don't exist. They were artificial constraints, enforced to maintain control. Alina shared this information with the Alliance Chamber, watching as representatives grasped the implications. The Confederation hadn't just restricted technology, they had limited the galaxy's understanding of what was possible. In response to the growing crisis, the Confederation Council convened an emergency session. High Chancellor Vexthor faced an increasingly divided assembly. Some called for military action against the Alliance, while others demanded reform of Confederation policies. "The humans and their allies aren't just bypassing our blockades," one representative observed. "They're bypassing our entire understanding of how galactic civilization should function." As if to emphasize this point, Unity Station sensors detected a massive surge in quantum space activity. Dozens of Confederation merchant ships, tired of artificial restrictions and endless regulations, were plotting courses for Alliance space. The Confederation built its power on the belief that progress must be carefully controlled. Alina told her staff, "We're showing the galaxy that true progress comes from freedom to explore, to question, to innovate." The ripples of change spread further as more species began to question centuries of acceptance. The Confederation's attempts to contain the Alliance's influence had instead amplified it, demonstrating to the galaxy that there were alternatives to the old order. In the depths of quantum space, Alliance ships continued to chart new routes, their crews representing dozens of species working together as equals. They carried more than goods between the stars. They transported ideas, possibilities, and the growing certainty that the galaxy's future would not be bound by the limitations of its past. The great chamber of the Confederation Council fell silent as the holographic projections showed the unthinkable. A third of their member worlds had officially announced their intention to withdraw. The High Chancellor's energy matrix pulsed erratically as centuries of carefully maintained order crumbled. "This is humanity's doing," Kittel snarled, his fur bristling with rage. "They've destabilized everything we built." But even as he spoke, more announcements flooded the chamber's communications array. Not just withdrawals. Many worlds were explicitly requesting membership in the Terra Alliance. The revolution wasn't being fought with weapons, but with ideas. Above New Terra, Unity Station had grown into a sprawling marvel of collaborative engineering. Its quantum organic hybrid systems, once deemed impossible by Confederation standards, now served as a beacon for species seeking alternatives to the old order. Admiral Alina Santos stood in the Alliance chamber, watching real-time updates of the galactic political shift. The Confederation's leadership has called for an emergency summit, she announced to the assembled representatives. "They're requesting our presence. They wish to negotiate now." Arathi delegates' crystalline form flickered with amusement. After their blockades failed, after their threats proved empty. "No," Alina replied, studying the formal request. "I think they finally realized something we knew from the start. The galaxy is changing, with or without their approval." The summit was set for neutral space, a station at the intersection of Alliance, Confederation, and independent territories. As the Alliance delegation arrived, they found the station's architecture telling. Rigid Confederation design struggling to accommodate the diversity of gathered species. High Chancellor Vexthor's energy form seemed diminished as he addressed the assembled delegations. The Confederation has maintained galactic stability for millennia. We've prevented wars, regulated technological development, preserved order. You've preserved stagnation, interrupted Dr. Sarah Chen, her voice carrying the weight of scientific truth. You've confused stability with control, order with suppression. The chamber's displays activated, showing a stunning array of achievements from just 6 months of Alliance cooperation. Quantum space lanes that redefined possible trade routes, organic mechanical hybrid technologies that adapted to any species' needs, medical breakthroughs that combined different species' understanding of life itself. This isn't about humanity proving our superiority, Elena stated, addressing the underlying fear in the room. It's about proving that real progress comes from cooperation, not control. Every species here has something unique to offer, insights and abilities that the Confederation's hierarchy ignored or suppressed. A young Confederation representative stepped forward, their species one of the many that had been regulated to lower tiers of influence. The Alliance has achieved more in months than my people were allowed to attempt in centuries. We were told we weren't ready, that we needed guidance. But we've seen now what real collaboration looks like. The Chamber's quantum communications array suddenly lit up with new signals. More worlds were choosing sides, but not in the way the Confederation had feared. They were choosing innovation over restriction, cooperation over control. High Chancellor Vexthor's energy matrix stabilized as understanding finally came. You never intended to replace the Confederation with your alliance, did you? No, Elena confirmed. We intended to show that there's a better way. The galaxy is vast enough for different approaches to coexist. Those who value your structure can remain. Those who seek something different now have a choice. The summit shifted from confrontation to transformation. The Confederation would continue, but its monopoly on galactic civilization had ended. A new era of diversity in governmental and technological approaches was beginning. In the months that followed, the galaxy underwent changes that would have been unimaginable under the old order. The rigid boundaries between Alliance and Confederation space became fluid zones of exchange and innovation. Species that had been deemed too primitive for full participation in galactic affairs brought fresh perspectives to age-old challenges. Unity Station expanded into a network of similar installations, each combining the insights and abilities of different species in unique ways. The quantum space lanes that had begun as trade routes became highways of cultural and scientific exchange. A year after humanity's departure from the Confederation, Admiral Elena Santos stood in the Alliance Chamber, addressing representatives from over 100 worlds. The chamber itself had evolved, its architecture now a living blend of technologies and designs from dozens of species. We didn't leave the Confederation to stand alone, she concluded. We left to show that standing together as equals was possible. The galaxy isn't meant to be controlled. It's meant to be explored, questioned, and understood through millions of different perspectives. Dr. Chen, working with a diverse team of scientists in Unity's laboratories, made another breakthrough that day. A fundamental theory that unified organic and quantum computing, made possible only by combining insights from a dozen different species' scientific traditions. As news of the discovery spread across both Alliance and Confederation space, it served as a fitting symbol of the new galactic order. Progress born not from rigid hierarchy, but from the beautiful chaos of genuine cooperation. The humans had changed the galaxy not through force or technological superiority, but by demonstrating the simple truth: the greatest power in the universe isn't control. It's the willingness to learn from each other, to grow together, and to face the unknown as equals in the grand adventure of existence.